up, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. It is Friday morning today, and if you can see, obviously I just showed you guys, it is foggy. Can you see that? Look at that, man. That's crazy. It is about 8:58 in the morning, and I'm gonna go grab some coffee, and I'm filming with my phone right now just because my camera is at the office. I'm gonna go pick it up. I have a good amount of work to do real quick, and then I'm gonna go head over to Precision Dynamics, which is my shop that I haven't been to since I sold the E92. I've stopped by once maybe or twice, but oh, there's a Pista. I love Irvine, man. I love just cruising around, seeing a foggy morning Pista. Another day at the office. It's a foggy one today. As usual, we're gonna go head over to Precision. Got Parker's car looking real good. We're gonna hit the canyons this weekend, which I'm excited for. Car looks great. And you got mine, which the car's a little bit dirty right now, but probably gonna wash it this weekend once I get some new parts on it. But it looks good for now. It's crazy how there was no winter at all in California, and then there was literally January hits, and now it's cold. It's like foggy and cold, and I don't know, I guess we had a delayed winter, if you want to put it that way. But if you guys have watched my videos for a while, you know that this car is so good in this weather. It's like 55 right now. You guys know that I drive to Precision often, basically because I'm in Irvine, they're in Costa Mesa. We're both on the border of each area, so it makes it easy to get over there. Literally, it's a 3-minute drive, if that. Dude, this CLS 63, damn, there's some fitment on there. There's the airport right there. Just ran over some bubble wrap, perfect. Now I'm excited. My friends at Precision have not seen the car yet, and I've had the car for 3 weeks. And they're about to be working on it a lot. I'm excited because I haven't seen it yet, so let's go get their reaction. I'm recording. I don't know why I'm using my blinkers everywhere. All right, let's see. Yo! It's your first time seeing the car.
It's clean.
Thank you, man.
It's like the perfect spec too. It's actually like really clean.
I'm curious to see underneath it.
Hey, can I have the headlights?
Yes, everyone wants the headlights. Where do you want me at? Okay.
How happy were you?
Thank you. I decided, I was like, I'm not gonna buy another car until you give me the approval. So when I texted you and I'm like, yes or no, and you go get it, I literally went right away and got it. I was like, I have to now. I have your stamp of approval.
It was a really good deal too.
Yeah.
When you sent it to me, I was like, yes, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was stoked about it. Thanks, man.
Like even the paint is clean. Like I don't see any like hardcore swirls or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't see any like signs of like anything being repainted either.
Yeah.
It's all original.
So we're gonna go ahead and throw the car on the lift to check underneath it. I have really no idea what to expect. I trust Mike and the guys here just to kind of go over the car, and it's a little bit dirty from being a little bit rainy outside, but we're gonna take a look and see what Mike thinks. So I have yet to see underneath the car. I've only seen it at the dealership, and it was kind of nighttime too. So I'm really curious to see what this looks like. Oh wow, so this is the valve setup from the factory, looks like. Kennedy, you have one of these, right?
Yes, sir.
Except the 2-door.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Kind of want the F80 though.
Do you?
Yeah, actually I do.
Is this the valve system? Is that how that works?
The valve system's right here, Spencer. So you have two on each location, and it's wired. So technically, if you find like a good exhaust company, it makes the full straight part for these cars, you can actually reuse your OEM actuators.
So you can use M1 and M2, right?
Yeah, oh, cool. So instead of having a remote key, the M2 and M1 works faster. In my opinion, that's what I would prefer.
Yeah. What are you removing here?
The belly pan.
So there's the belly pan coming out. Okay. How many cats does this car have?
They have two.
Is this one right here?
They have a secondary cats, resonator, and the muffler.
Oh, okay.
So technically 4 points of
restriction
from BMW.
It's just like how the E90X is.
Exactly.
Making a party.
What I'm gonna look for to see if it's ever been modded, untouched. So it's never had an exhaust. Suspension.
How do you know if the car hasn't been touched? What do you look for?
So what I look for is, just to give you an idea, you see how this looks perfectly round inside of here? Let me bring this up. There's no marking inside of it. So all these bolts come with a coating where it's silver. When it's worn down, it looks like that.
Why would someone remove that, you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. It's only this one that has any mark. Actually, this does too. So it's possible maybe they serviced something inside of here. Or maybe they hit something and they had to replace this. That's a possibility.
Okay.
Because you would have to remove this to change the exhaust. But these nuts right here looks untouched. You see how it's perfectly round, sharp edges, no marking on the corners.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's been touched. And suspension would be the same thing, where you would see marking around here on this very edge and here. Kind of like this one, you see that? That's the alignment bolt. See how there's a little bit of marking on that corner? That's when you know it's been touched. So the car's been aligned, but these haven't been touched. So that means that it's never had aftermarket suspension or anything changed on it. So these are the things that we look for when we do a PPI. We don't just inspect the car for any leaks, we look to see if there's anything that's ever been modified.
The whole point of the idea for today is just to be aware of, you know, what do you look for when you buy an F80? What would be the main things that you start looking at when you buy one of these cars?
So what we look for mainly for F80s especially is going to be suspension. And then we look for, like, you know, rotor wears, because these rotors are like 280 bucks each. Yeah, so yours are good, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest factor, rotors. Like, we look for that and we let them know, like, hey, it's gonna be like, you know, $1,000 alone right there to try to get that knocked off. Obviously, you're looking at it now.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. How expensive are these? Because I see a lot of people who, they say that these are desirable, these rotors.
Yeah, because a lot of guys do like BBKs, but also, so there's only two companies that makes rotors for this car. It's going to be BMW, and the company that actually makes it for BMW is Zimmerman. Zimmerman price is actually, what was the price difference between Zimmerman and F80, like OEM?
$7.
There you go.
$7
difference. What were they, like 280 bucks a piece?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, about 280 bucks a piece. You got four. So what we look for is a lip on it. You have a slight lip, but nothing crazy. So we'll feel for it. We'll feel like the edges right here and here. And if there's a lip on it, that's when it's really worn down. We can measure it, but just putting your finger on it, you'll know. Because you can't resurface these rotors. So every time you change the pads, it's constantly pad slap. It wears down, wears down, wears down. And then we look for hot spots. If there's hot spots, you'll see like dark spots here and there. This is great.
Okay.
None whatsoever. And then the front, this has been changed. For your mileage, and you know, obviously no lip on here whatsoever, this has been changed.
Okay, so these are different rotors then.
Yeah, so it's been serviced.
Okay.
Pads are brand new. I can see that too.
I can feel they're very touchy on this car. Like very, very touchy.
Yeah, that's a great thing about these. Next we look for is any leaks. To be honest with you, these S55s don't really leak. So we rarely ever see any leaks on this. Usually if it does leak, it's on the valve cover. But that's probably around like 50 to 70,000 miles.
Okay.
This doesn't. Another factor that we look for is going to be any white spots on the subframe that would indicate coolant leaks. So that means it could be either maybe something got damaged or something got serviced. In this case, this is all like water. I'm not too concerned about this. It's like water and dirt. If it was coolant, it would be like hard ironed on water. and it's literally white the whole time.
And that would be a bad sign.
Okay. That's a coolant leak somewhere. But in this case, clean. This is normal. Don't be alarmed.
What is that right there?
This is grease. They put it on there so there's no rust.
And what's this part?
This is actually your power steering, technically electronic power steering, and this is your steering rack right here.
And a lot of things in this car are electrical. Is there anything you have to watch out for that, or are these pretty bulletproof?
No, I've never seen a single issue with these, and I've been working on these since 2016.
So the main thing for this car is Crankhub. That's like the only thing that's like a rod bearing.
Well, two things.
Okay.
Crankhub. Second thing is your oil coolers right here. A lot of times when you get hit anything on the freeway, like even like a little rock on the floor that's maybe 4 to 5 inches off the floor, and if it punctures this as you're driving, all that oil, because it's going to be pressurized, all that oil will spew out of here. If it impacts it enough, you'll lose all oil pressure, and then you could damage the motor.
Could it seize up the engine?
Yep.
Wow.
I've seen that happen quite a lot.
Why is it so sensitive? Is it just the material?
Well, this is your guard.
Oh, so it's not strong enough from the factory.
It's plastic.
So is that why you see a lot of guys who make
metal ones?
I've seen that before.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
So,
does this come with the car too?
Oh, damn. I keep that.
I'm keeping that in. Are these motor mounts right here?
Yes.
Okay.
So motor mounts, we'll look at it from this end of it, and we'll see the gap from here to the bracket itself. So right there, where that little, let me drop that leaf. From here to the actual metal piece up top, there should be about maybe 6 millimeters clearance. That's how we know that the motor mounts are still good.
Okay.
Once they wear down, they start to sag and collapse, and when it collapses, it'll be dropped down further. Obviously, your mileage is low, so we're not concerned about
And
that.
what engine does this car have?
S55.
And is it a pretty reliable motor?
The only downside to it is the crank up. So everything else with this car is great. Oil cooler is obviously a issue for safety concerns. And then the secondary thing would be the crank up. Now the crank up, if that does fail, what happens is timing. Well, actually, we have a car that we just fixed.
Well, we have plans to do a whole Crankhub video.
We're doing it.
Yeah, and there's a lot we have planned. I mean, when I first talked to you, I asked you, I said, how many videos can we film on this car? And you were like 100. I was like, that's going to be legit. Because there's a lot we can do, I think, to help the audience understand, like, this is what you should look out for. And if you want to modify it the right way, like, if you do big power, you should expect to do a crank hub.
Yeah.
Because that's when the crank hub goes bad, right?
Big power or not, stock, modded, it'll still fail.
So even how my car is now, the crank hub could go out.
It can.
Okay.
Yeah, so stock or modded, I've seen it fail. The more power you put to it, technically it doesn't affect it, but what does matter is how much load you put on it. So the more power you put down, the more load you put onto it, then it can have a higher possibility of failing.
Okay.
But otherwise, it still can fail.
Okay.
Especially it's more prone on DCT because it's constantly downshifting for you. Whereas a manual, when you're coasting down to stop, clutch in. But this, no matter what, you're driving, it's constantly down.
So it's more prone to it then?
More prone.
Okay.
And for all you viewers out there saying that, you know, different years doesn't fail as often, they all fail.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what
So
year.
you need to do it no matter what?
Yes.
Okay.
So once we actually do it, we'll obviously go in depth with it, and I'll explain to you every single person how it fails, why it fails, and how we fix it. So.
Okay. Cool. As far as anything else on this car that you recommend people check on, like if they go to the dealership and they want to know more about the car, what are like the fluids you want to look at?
Well, there's obviously no power steering fluid on this.
There's no power steering fluid?
No.
I had no idea.
Electric.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing is going to be, I mean, brake flush is pretty easy. I wouldn't be concerned about that. The biggest thing is, if anybody's interested in buying one of these cars, you want to see if it's been modded. Because if it's been modded, likely there's going to be a lot of stuff that's left off. Because any single thing that you do on this car, like let's just say, for example, if you do like a crank up on this thing, we'll probably accumulate maybe 130 to 150 bolts and nuts. Unless you're experienced in it, you're probably not gonna put it all back on.
So the chance that some will be missing.
It's pretty high.
And then you start hearing noises and creaking.
Yeah, and like even like this right here. So on the fan, there's actually a shroud right here. This shroud is actually to divert air. And every time you take out the fan, you have to remove this first.
So you have to do it in order.
Yeah, so a lot of times people will actually leave these off. Or can't access some of the bolts all the way up there. They'll leave that off. You do this auxiliary pump, which is for the heat exchanger. You can't really put this back on. There's a little bracket right here that actually slides in on that side, flips over, and bolts down. A lot of people leave this off. So we see this just chilling.
What is this guy?
Oh, it just falls off.
Oh, okay. That's still new then, huh?
Yeah.
Such a new car still has that?
Well, I mean, look at this one. It's clean.
Yeah, it's still on there. I've never had a car this new So
sticker still on
yeah,
it.
so I don't really know like what the precaution is. Do you think that getting a car that's driven harder is better, or when cars sit, is it more like prone to issues?
So, yes and no. So what it comes down to is age, mileage, right? So the higher the mileage, then yeah, obviously it has more wear to it. But the longer it sits, then all the gaskets and seals starts to deteriorate. So as long as it's getting heat cycles, so like a lot of guys who actually buys cars and stores it, they'll actually turn on the car once every week or two, just to warm it up, let it sit, and then it just kind of warms up and puts it through heat cycles.
Okay.
They'll also drive at least once a week, even if it's just like 1 or 2 miles. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But at the same time, like this is a 2018, you know, at your mileage, that's about average, 12,000 miles a year, give or take. But you got a smoking deal.
I know, I got a really good deal. So now overall looking at the car, what are some of the things that we should do first? So Crankhub first,
Yeah.
And then how about mods? What do you think we should do?
So mods obviously would be downpipes, you know, kiddie-less.
So downpipes first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Downpipes, I'm not too concerned about charge pipes. I've never seen it failed. Intakes is more for sound, you don't need it. So to be honest with you, if we do Crankhub, downpipes, and tune it for E85, you'll make about 550 to 580 wheel.
I mean, I've driven this thing for a little bit and it's fast. I can't imagine another, is that 100 more horsepower?
More, because what you're rated for is actually to the crank. So you'll probably gain about 150 wheel.
That's terrifying. So these cars have a lot of potential.
A lot.
How far are we gonna go with this build?
All the way.
So everything?
Everything.
Damn. Okay. How about, can we pull it down and show the engine too?
So in my car, under here would be the trunk. For some
Yeah,
weird reason,
you're
you have
just-
an engine in there.
I don't know why. I'm not sure why I have a front engine car. Off the bat, this carbon right here, that's just a brace, right?
Yeah, so this is a carbon, technically X brace. It bolts down there, here, into there. That actually bolts down to another brace underneath that you can't really see, which is here.
Okay.
All metal. It actually has, 5-point bolted there. And then it actually bolts down from here to there, and then has another one from here to there.
So it's a lot of bracing.
A lot.
Wow, that's surprising. So this engine for me is super unique, and I want to know, because there's so many charge pipes and down pipes, where does everything start? So right here, what is this?
Okay, so up here, starting from here, closest to the intake manifold, this is your heat exchanger, basically your intercooler, except now it's water and air. So you don't have an actual air intercooler in front. You have this heat exchanger, which actually connects from here to here, goes down to one cooler that's over here in this corner, and then you have another cooler that is actually right there in the middle. See that one? It looks like a radiator, but it's not.
Okay.
That's actually your heat exchanger. This is your intercooler, technically.
Okay. And then these right here.
That's your charge pipes.
Okay.
That goes to your turbos. Then over here is your intakes. One here, one here. So one for each turbo. This is for the rear turbo. This is for the front turbo.
Where do the turbos sit?
Right over here. And it's kind of hard to see, but you might be able to see it from right here down here. It's a little hidden.
Yeah, they're definitely hidden in there.
We'll have better luck when we do the crank hub. So what else? The system on this is actually designed pretty well. It's very short, so instead of having like, you know, inlets that come down here, then intercooler coming back up to your intake manifold, it's actually engine, intake manifold, heat exchanger, charge pipe, turbo, intake. That's it.
That's a lot.
Super
That
short.
seems like a lot.
Well, it's not, because it's actually very short.
Well, maybe because I'm used to NA.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Well, actually, believe it or not, this is actually maybe double the amount that you're traveling air through versus your E90. It's actually not. When it's air cooled, it actually has like probably quadruple the travel of yours.
Jeez. And we were just talking about how this car has a lot of restriction as far as all the way back. It has 4 different restriction points.
Yes.
That's a lot. And you have your car straight pipes, right? It's catless. You did your full setup of getting all those completely gone. How big of a difference was it from that point?
It's scary because with, you know, driving it stock, you don't feel the car really spinning. But as soon as you get rid of that, even like a slight 70% throttle, there's many times that happened to me. You can feel the whole car just want to slip, and then you just gotta let go.
Wow.
It's
I mean,
scary.
you know turbo cars well. You've built a lot of turbo cars.
Yeah.
I'm coming from an NA, so when I got in this car, you know, I had an STI back in the day, and it was fun. But this
But
is
not torquey.
this is so much torque. I mean,
Yeah.
in my video, I was like, it has torque, it has torque. And imagining this with essentially another 200 horsepower that we can pull out of it before you really have to start doing stuff. That's a lot of power to it for me at least.
I mean, compare, just to give you a reference, right? The power that we would gain on top of this right now would be almost equivalent to your WRX's power.
That's nuts. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's terrifying. But the thing is, though, is that I know that you don't need big power for the track, but this is going to be for fun. Yeah. And I'm assuming that whenever, like you were saying with M1 and M2, you can tune like the burbles and the power.
But even then, boot mode released a map switch, so kind of like JB4 integrated. So
cool.
Technically, they're trying to convert this into like Motec and Civics, where you're having a stock ECU, but you have this capability of switching the maps. Yeah. So let's say you go to the track, instead of driving a laptop or your phone and flashing it, as long as you have those maps saved, you just switch it.
That's so easy.
Switch it on the fly. Yeah. So another thing too is running E85, which you will be, right? Running
I guess. You're telling me. I guess.
That's what I'm saying. You will.
I'm just here to do whatever you say.
Yeah,
so.
you don't have a choice. So you will be running E85, which is actually going to be more efficient.
Okay.
So you're actually going to be burning cleaner fuel, so you can actually add more timing. So you can reduce the amount of demand on all that stuff. So it's less stress on the motor. Okay. So running E85 on the track would actually be more ideal.
Got it.
No matter what. So you drop IATs.
Congrats, homie.
Thank you, brother. What's going on? How are you?
Good.
Good to see you, man. You ready to work on this thing?
No. I'll go hide over there.
I've never ran E85 before, but I've always wanted to do it just for like the gas station pictures. Yeah. But honestly, I like the idea behind trying something that I've never done before and having a new platform. Because I've had two of the same cars for 4 years, and you've worked on all of them. Now it's like this is a different level of like kind of craziness, because realistically we can do 100 things to this thing. Like there's a lot we can do.
There's probably gonna be a lot more. There's like a lot of small stuff here and then that we can change out and modify. Like if you're looking at the engine wise, like dude, you got intakes, heat exchanger, you got charge pipes, then you got the heat exchanger up front, then you have the radiator, then you have 2 radiators, then you have the oil cooler. That's just upgrades right there on just engine stuff.
Do you ever have to worry about transmission?
I've never seen it go.
No?
So if you actually go for like maybe 700 horsepower, then yeah, we'll upgrade the clutches. Okay. But until then, who knows when? Say when.
This motor may be out of the car at some point.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We might pull out these turbos and put one big one.
Oh.
Maybe.
I'm cool with that. That would be nuts. So now with this being the 2018, this was the last year they made the F80, right? Yeah. What were some of the things that you noticed off the bat? Because I posted it and people were like, oh, your headlights are so sick. I had no idea. Yeah. So there's a difference with the headlights and taillights, right?
Right. Okay. So the headlights are, we call this LCI 2. Some people call it Icon. So right away off the bat, only 2018s come with these headlights. And then the taillights, obviously, those are LCI, but that comes with 2016 and newer, the F80s. Okay. And then the F82, these come in 2018, and then the taillights for LCI was 2017, right? 2016 too? Late 2016, right? Yeah.
Okay.
F80s came out first with it, or the 3 series for that matter, even F30.
I know that we have a lot of videos planned, and we'll kind of structure them out separately. Yeah. As far as anything else you recommend for people to look out for when they go to buy an F80, anything else to keep an eye out for?
Exhaust note.
That's the one thing that pulled me away was the exhaust sound, but I'll get used to it.
Yeah, you will. The only thing is obviously tires, because it's expensive, and then the rotors, as we talked about. And then also make sure all of you guys, if you guys are trying to buy one of these cars with S55, whether it's F80, F82, or M2 Comp, make sure you guys factor in a Crankhub. Just like E9X, right? Factor in the rod bearings, because if you have a budget for 35K, make sure you have enough to pay for the actual Crankhub too, because it's preventative. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is spin the Crankhub. About 120 degrees is when it bends the valves. If it does bend the valves, usually it's on the intakes. So we'll have to pull the head out, rebuild the head, put it back on. You're about $10,000 into there alone.
So it's not worth risking that when you can spend. How much is Crankhub?
So for us, it's $3,600.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we'll go over that in the whole video, but that's an investment that is such a good peace of mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, you want to save that money, because if you spin it and then you damage the head, you spend $10,000. That's what we charge. $10,000, rebuild the head, plus all the parts, reassemble that, and then we do the Crankhub. So that's $10,000 plus the Crankhub. Yeah. So do it once.
It's not worth the risk. So brakes, and obviously check like previous owners, the Crankhub. Yep. Anything else?
That's about it. I mean, besides that, these cars are really reliable. I've never really seen any modules fail on this, but again, you want to get something that's not heavily modified prior to purchasing. So you can look at, like, obviously I showed you guys to look at like nuts and bolts to see if anything's been touched, and then just go through the car and make sure that it's not been, you know, molested, as we would say.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's start building this car.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. First mod. I just noticed my plate says 991. That may be a sign soon. Oh, and I gotta put my tags on. I have them too. All good to go. Got some good content today. Had a really good conversation with the guys here. It's nice to be back. I miss being here. Car needs some work. I'm excited to get this thing built. Precision tag looks much better. Mike, you like this car?
It's actually really clean in here. My biggest pet peeve, believe it or not, is the steering wheel.
Really?
Yeah, so like I get really annoyed and disgusted when the steering wheel is sticky and dirty.
Oh yeah.
Yours is clean and like it feels like leather still.
Does
not
it good?
plastic.
It's not greasy?
Yeah. Like you can tell, like, so like there's still a little bit of like body oil on this because that's why it's shiny. But you can tell it's never been cleaned, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less wear. So if you actually clean this up, it'll look brand new.
It feels brand new.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you actually remove all this oil, it'll look brand new. Believe it or not, guys, leather's supposed to look dry, not oily and
It's supposed to have
shiny.
like a matte finish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people think like when it looks matte, it's like, oh, it's dried out. No, that's how it's supposed to look.
It's not supposed to be greasy.
Yeah. This is all body oil.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No. Thanks for the new car.
Peace out. Enjoy it. I'm gonna say bye. Peace out.
Oh, see you, man.
See ya. I'm out of here.
Later, man.
I'll be here Tuesday at 11.
Crankhub?
See you, brother.
See you, man. This is when you know the previous owner took care of his car. This is still on there.
Oh, the film.
Yeah.
I know. I saw all four doors. I'm like, yeah.
Usually, like some people buy it because all four doors, right? Usually, when you buy the car, like the owner would actually remove just the single one because that's the door he gets in and out of. But in this case, he left it on, which is
Still,
a good thing.
still brand new.
Yeah. Another thing too is like scuff on doors. I get annoyed at that too.
Yeah, these still look brand new.
Yeah, looks really good.
All right, Tuesday at 10.
Yes, sir.
See you, brother.
See you then.
Thank you. Yeah, look at that reflection. So I was clearly instructed to not push the car until we do the crank hub. As you saw in the video, there's a lot of content. It's a long video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm actually gonna get back to work. I have a lot to do today. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you can, thumbs up, subscribe. I got pulled over a while ago for not having tags on my car. I had an RS, now I have my tags. We're good to go. So thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.